In 1968, my dad was hitchhiking across Europe, and on a whim, he bought a 5-speed bicycle in Rome, Italy, and cycled over 800 kilometers all the way to Nice, France. Now, as luck would have it, I happen to have a 5-speed bicycle. This one is from around 1980. I bought it for $50, and it's been my trustworthy commuter for over 10 years. And over the years, touring on various more touring-specific bikes, I wondered what it would be like to tour on something closer to how my dad did it. Today, we find out. Or like, over the next few days. Take 2. Let's go! It's a good day to test out a bike. The sun is shining, the roads are smooth. We're just cruising along, but there is an important mission at hand. Okay, now the first mission is clear, because last night I discovered that I managed to forget my gas for my stove. And it doesn't matter what bike you're on, coffee comes first. So it's onwards towards a cafe or a camping store with gas, whichever comes first. Now I need 2 hands for this gravel, so talk to you in a sec. Unfortunately, it doesn't take long for the gravel to turn into much more than that. This rutted out mud path would probably be a joy to ride on my newer touring bike. Or maybe even on this bike for a more competent rider. But for me and my rally, it's, an adventure. Are we a little muddy? Are we okay? On a loaded bike, I get so worried about falling into one of these like divots and like breaking an ankle. So we're just gonna walk the trickier sections. And then ride the not so tricky ones. Whenever we find them. That hurt my hoo-ha, but I'm okay. Ooh. Okay. All good. All good. Okay. Carry on. With a healthy dose of patience and positivity, this trek really isn't so bad. But I can't say I'm totally bummed when it's over. Oh my god. It's a road. It's a paved road. Listen, I love me some trail riding, but your girl needs coffee. Fortunately, it doesn't take long to find the most delightful coffee shop. I may not be in Italy like my dad, but damn, this is good. I guess it doesn't matter where you are. Coffee and treats never taste quite as good as on a bike tour. Caffeine fueled, and it's time to hit the road again. The one thing I notice on this bike compared to a low-geared touring bike is that hills that would normally feel like nothing feel like something. But for the most part, riding is so fun and comfortable. My biggest focus is just not squishing any of the super cool bugs I see on the road. And sometimes not on the road. Oh my goodness, it is the world's smallest walk-in museum. It's all stuff that's washed up on the shores of Lake Erie, which is the lake behind me. A child's toy gun? A turtle plastron? I don't even know what a plastron is. Little army toys? Feathers? This is fascinating. It's explaining how different beach glass of different colors means it came from different time periods, which obviously makes sense, but it lists like how rare they are and how often they're found and what they were used for. This is so cool. I gotta say, you know, sometimes you want to go on these big adventures to new places, but like, I'm just a few hours from home and this is so cool. In case you can't tell, yes, I am completely obsessed with the fact someone thought to do this. And obviously have to sign the guest book. And then I completely fangirl when I meet one of the creators of the mini museum.
How are ya?
So good! This is so cool! No, you're so sweet. I'm all good. Oh, no, I'm fine. Thank you so much. Thank you. I met one of the creators of the museum, Martin, and he said I could leave my bike by his house and go hang out by the water. So I'm gonna do that. I spend the rest of the day eyeing the beautiful hawks. Why are they circling so hard? Do I look like easy prey? Exploring more super cool community attractions. And despite any concerns I was met with when I said I wanted to take my old bike out bikepacking, when my first mechanical of the trip arrives, it has nothing to do with my bike. Instead, it's my fancy bikepacking handlebar bag that has me grumbling. My God, it's finally fixed. It was user error. It was my fault. But there's something to be said for the simplicity of a 5-speed bike. You know, none of these newfangled contraption issues. Look, I know firsthand that modern bicycles have their benefits. But I gotta say, I'm having a heck of a time on this little old bike. Got to my campground, got a little shower on. Just one thing left to do. Now some days, I just don't feel like filming setting up my tent. Perfect. All right, friends. It's time for me to eat some slightly old pierogies. Hope they don't make me sick. And see you in the morning. Oh my God. I woke up and I was just lying here with my head pressed a little bit against the tent. And I assumed a chipmunk or a squirrel just kind of scurrying along outside. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. Cute. Love waking up in my tent listening to the squirrels. Then it jumped at my head. I don't know what it thought I was. It just parkoured off my skull. Well, I guess that's my cue to get up. In the creature's defense, he's gotta stock up for fall. And I am a bit nutty. Sorry, I couldn't resist that joke. Okay, moving on. To grab a snack, and my lock has rather rudely jammed. And I fought with it for 10-15 minutes, and I have finally accepted that it's just old and the numbers are jammed. So I went to the hardware store, who kindly lent me some bolt cutters. So let's see if that does the trick. I'm down a lock, but I'm free! What an absolutely lovely trail! No matter the bike, I'm never the best maneuverer. Alright, let's put this away before I hurt myself. Honestly, when I'm on a flat stretch of pavement or packed gravel, riding this bike doesn't feel much different than any fancier bike I've ever ridden. Except for one thing. Okay, overall, this has been an incredibly comfortable ride. The only part of me that's hurting is my hands, interestingly enough. The position my body is in is super comfy. The grips are just not the coziest for long rides, but I gotta give them credit because modern grips, they can like tear and get kind of weird and gooey like within like months or years, and these grips have lasted 44 years. I wanted to kind of keep things as close to how my dad did it as possible. I wasn't gonna buy a bunch of new gear, so I took the bags that I had rather than, trying to track down vintage bags. So other than this little adapter I needed to get for my rack, everything else I just kind of had. But the one way that I could try to be closer to my dad was in what I was wearing. So I'm not using bike gloves, I'm not using chamois shorts, I'm not using any kind of special shoes, but overall, I'm like super comfy. Just gotta shake out the palms a little bit sometimes. But I did bring gloves just in case I needed them, so maybe I'll cheat just a little bit. Just for my little palms, Gloves donned, and this 44-year-old bike is basically comfort perfection. But even on the comfiest of rides, fatigue eventually sets in. I stopped to stock up for dinner. It's been a long day of riding, and I don't know if I have another 20 kilometers to my campsite in me. But just as the sun is setting, I find myself on a downhill, and that perfect song hits. It's a blissful golden hour ride. Just me and my little old rally. Unfortunately, my rally can't help me when the rain and wind bash against my tent through the night. Some of you may know I've been working on getting my confidence about solo camping back. And much to my surprise, this storm was the perfect little confidence boost. Good morning. Oh, and what a good morning it is. I'm camping on this lovely couple's property, and they're away at the moment, and they knew there was a storm coming in, and they're like, hey, if you get rained out, we have this little kind of like glamping cabin thing that, you're welcome to hide out in. And it was helpful to have that assurance, but I really didn't want to use it. I was like, I really wanted to challenge myself to stay in my tent, and I did, and I had a pretty good sleep. So, check. Now it's just time to get packed up, and they have a lovely little stove I can use, so I can finally make coffee on the stove. Just gonna let these bad boys dry in the sun for a bit while I make my coffee. Alright, well, nothing to do but ride to the train and head home. I could not be happier that I did this trip, and I could not be happier that I did it on this beauty of a bike. Now I gotta go tell my dad. As I finish up my route, I'm filled with gratitude for this solid old workhorse that took me so far over the last 4 days. In today's world of titanium and clipless pedals and dynamo hubs, it can feel like only the newest and greatest will do. Heck, last year I built up my own custom touring bike because it felt like that's what I needed to get around the world. And yes, I can freely admit that I'd probably have a tougher time on my 5-speed in the mountains or on rugged terrain. But did I have any less fun over the last 4 days because I wasn't on a fancy bike? Heck no. And let's not forget that folks like Annie Londonderry and Dervla Murphy cycled vast distances around the world on old-school single speeds. Moving forward, yes, I'll enjoy the thicker tires and granny gear on my modern touring bike. But I'd take this little old 5-speed out again in a heartbeat, just like my dad did all those years ago. Hey there, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to support the channel and watch the director's commentaries for the behind the scenes scoop on this and other videos, check out Patreon. A huge thank you to all of my patrons. And if you want to watch more videos here on YouTube, maybe check out one of these ones. Thanks for being here. See you in the next one. Bye.